Hey everyone, welcome to the Real Clear Politics Takeaway for Thursday, January 21st. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder and president of RCP.
And I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief for Real Clear Politics. Well, Tom, I'm not a numerologist, but it's 1/21/21, and we have a new
Day
president.
one of the new administration. Did you watch the proceedings yesterday, Carl? And what'd you think?
Every minute, Tom.
You're such a sucker for this stuff.
Well, it's important. Tom, what about the peaceful transition of power? Do you not understand? I mean, it's big.
No, look,
we learned that on January 6th. We can't take it for granted.
I agree with that. Although, as we've discussed here before, I'm less of a pomp and circumstance individual than you are when it comes to things like State of the Union, inaugurations, and all of that stuff. But what did you think of Biden's speech in particular? He obviously hit the notes of unity, but did he do enough? And overall, what did you think of the tone that he struck?
I thought it was pitch perfect. He ran on this, Tom. He ran as what he was, a unifier. And you and I remember, back in Iowa and New Hampshire when he was given up as dead by most people, not me, but people thought he was finished. Bernie Sanders actually ridiculed him, not in a ad hominem way, but he said, Biden wants to work with Republicans. Well, you can't do that. We're past that. That doesn't work anymore. It was all or nothing. Yesterday, I noticed Bernie Sanders was on being interviewed by George Stephanopoulos saying, well, yeah, I'm going to be the budget committee chairman. I'll work with Republicans if they want to work with me. I mean, in a sense, Biden took back the Democratic Party, and he did so in a way that was interesting because he didn't attack anybody. He just said, look, we need to return to norms. In a way, Donald Trump was the perfect foil for him. It was better before when we talked to each other. And he said that to people on Capitol Hill. He said that to Democrats in the primaries, and he said that writ large to the nation yesterday. And I thought it worked.
Okay. I mean, I think he definitely said the right words, struck the right tone. But the question is, the proof will be in the pudding, so to speak, right? So if he wants to lower the temperature,
if you're an independent,
hold on a second. If he wants to lower the temperature, if that's truly what he wants to do, what can he do to lower the temperature? I mean, obviously, he sat down at the Resolute desk and fired off, 15 executive orders on doing a lot of what Trump had put in place over the last 4 years, and that's fine. That's what presidents do these days. Unfortunately, that's the circumstance that we're in. But he's pushing a coronavirus stimulus package. He's pushing as his top priority immigration reform. Is he going to be able to lower the temperature in the country through legislation, through bipartisanship? Will his party allow him to compromise on either of those issues or anything else? Or does he have to do something else to quote unquote lower the temperature?
Well, there's two things going on here, Tom, and you've alluded to both of them. One is the rhetoric. He can certainly lower the tone he can certainly modulate the tone of the rhetoric in this city. In politics generally, when Barack Obama ran for president, by the way, it was de rigueur for Democrats to just savage Bush in very personal terms. Obama did none of that. But when he got here, he governed as a liberal in a party that was becoming ever more liberal. Biden's going to do that too. So he's not going to, Republicans aren't going to like what he does. The question is, I think independents are going to look and see, does he do what Barack Obama said he'd do and did only rarely? And when he did, it was Biden he tasked with doing it, which is negotiate with Republicans, compromise on some of this policy. His own party doesn't necessarily want that. That's a very difficult thing to do. I agree with you. It's hard. We're polarized in a very real way on issues in this country. So, and that's going to be hard for Biden. What he can do, though, is talk about people less as enemies and adversaries and more as people who have difference of opinion and similar goals. If he does that, that does set the table where legislative compromise is possible. That's my
So one thing that was suggested yesterday, and I would submit that Biden could do to lower the temperature, right, is to tell Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, hey, this impeachment thing, Trump's already gone. Let's just drop it. That would, obviously also serve as, do away with a distraction that's potentially, complicates his first 100 days. But his press secretary, Jen Psaki, who gave her first press briefing last night, was asked that question specifically. And she deferred. She said, listen, we think the Senate can walk and chew gum at the same time. We're going to push our agenda and we're not going to tell them what to do. So didn't seem like there was any appetite for Joe Biden to do the one thing that I think would lower the temperature and offer some sort of goodwill and outreach to Republicans. Because as you mentioned, I mean, he's going to push legislation they're going to disagree with. He can talk about it in fine language. But what do you make of that idea? And do you think it would happen?
I think that this walk and chew gum thing, even Bernie Sanders said it, although he's so old school and so old, he said walk and chew bubble gum at the same time, which made me smile because I remember that phrase, bubble gum. It's a talking point, but it's not a very good one. The Senate, this is a distraction for the Senate at a time when the country, Washington, and our political system doesn't need a distraction. It needs to attack the coronavirus with a vaccine that's already been developed, and we can't seem how to get it to the people who need it in a timely way. And 4,000, 3,000, 4,000 Americans are dying a day. This ought to be everybody's priority. Biden knows this. On the other hand, he respects the prerogatives of the legislative branch. This is something that Trump didn't do most spectacularly when he sent a mob up to Capitol Hill to pressure them. And I think he'd be leery of interfering in a public way. I don't know what private conversations he's having with Pelosi and Chuck Schumer, and Mitch McConnell would need to be part of them. Tom, the impeachment, as you know, because we talked about it on this show, to me, the Democrats made a great case for censure when they spoke to the House Democrats,
right.
but they didn't go that way. I think that would have been better for Biden. It would have
the cleanest,
been better
easiest,
for the country.
Most bipartisan thing they could have done. What?
But we're in a different position right now. We need to be precise about this. This is like an indictment, basically, that a grand jury is, issued. And now the Senate has to decide it. If the idea here is to prevent Donald Trump from holding office again, you're going to be hard-pressed to get Democrats to want to drop that on Capitol Hill. That's the only reason to proceed. If they don't do that, and impeachment, that's an option. They don't have to do that. If they don't do that, there's no reason to proceed. If they do that, it's going to be hard to get Democrats to drop that. So I think Biden, I think he's in an uncomfortable position. I don't know what he'll do. I don't know even what they should do, Tom. This is what Trump did during the transition is something you can't just, before we heal, before we reach unity, we have to have some closure on it.
Yeah. All right, we will leave it there for this morning. I'm Tom Bevan, co-founder, president of RCP.
And I'm Carl Cannon, Washington Bureau Chief for RCP. Be sure and join us tomorrow for our Friday wrap-up. But this has been the RCP Takeaway for 1/21/21.